Hey guys, thanks for clicking on our video. This is how to make a worksheet, not a worksheet. You can click the scan me there if you QR code, or if you don't have a QR code scanner, you can also use the tiny URL to get this presentation as well. It's not the video, just the presentation. So um, I'm here with Kim and Gina. They'll be in the video here in a few minutes on how to make a worksheet, not a worksheet. We all teach at Goshen Middle School, anywhere from 7th, 8th grade, all the way to integrated math 1. All right, what to expect in our video? Kind of different than the traditional video that we've done before in the past. For about 2 minutes at a time, we'll take turn explaining 18 different ways. We're actually going to do 9 ways, and we'll give you the other ways at the end on how to make a worksheet a lot more engaging. If we were doing this live, you could stop us at any time, but we'll give us our contact info at the end so you can reach out to us if you want. So why do we like this session, or why are we doing this? You ever been to a conference before and you sit there and you realize, man, this won't apply for me, and then you kind of check out after the first few minutes? If you haven't, then you're a better person than I am. So we give you a bunch of different ideas so you guys can use them in your classroom. So we're going to go ahead and start. I'm going to let Kim go ahead and start us off. Here we go.
Hi there, so I'm Kim Kelly. This first example is called levels. So what you would do is take a worksheet and split it up into 4 or more handouts, and then students can either work in pairs or with small groups, and then they complete level 1 worksheet the first time. The teacher checks it. If it's correct, they can advance the character, and then they grab worksheet number 2, complete that level, and you just continue this pattern through all of the different levels. You can do however many levels that you want. You, for example, could take a study guide and split that up into different levels. They could increase by difficulty. So level 1 might be something like combining like terms, and level 4 is solving equations. I've also mixed this up with a 4-marker challenge this year, and instead of advancing a character, they get to color or design a picture. So most recently did it with an Easter egg. So they reach into a bucket, and whatever color they get 30 seconds to design their Easter egg. Or around Halloween, you could do a pumpkin. So the first person would do the eyes or whatever. So just a way to mix it up instead of just moving a character around.
Hi, I'm Gina Ogden. I'm going to talk about online games and different activities. You can see there are several different options we have listed: Gimkit, Kahoot, Quizzes, Quizlet Live, and Blookit. Each one of these has its own perks. We've used these interchangeably, different years, different content. You can search different topics on there, or you can create your own. You can edit them. A lot of these have, well, all of them free versions. There are some paid versions, obviously, that come with more options with them. But one of the things that I love about the different activities that are built in, you can choose where you can play live, where the whole class is playing, or maybe it might be a team version, but also you're able to do it and assign it for homework if you wanted students to be working on it individually. Not necessarily it is homework. You could use it for that, but where the kids are just able to do it on an individual basis, where you're kind of having a competition and you're watching and, okay, try to get to the highest level, or see who can get the most points. So it's a fun way to be able to get kids engaged in the topics and activities that you're doing. I know I just recently did a lot of these when I was doing test review. Quick things, coming back, a 7-minute game, 10-minute game to review a topic that we did maybe at the beginning of the year, to kind of refresh their minds of what it was about. So I would probably say my top picks out of these would be Blookit and Gimkit. And my students probably would say the same thing too. So.
All right, I'm back. Next one is Grudge Ball. So I'm really a big fan of Grudge Ball. So if you look at the picture there, you can set your room up for that way. You can write on the board. You can do anywhere from, you probably would need at least 4 teams to play the game. The whole goal is to have the most X's, or most points, essentially, we call them X's, by the end of the game. So you give everybody 15 X's to start. You can split your groups up however you'd like. I think the ideal group number is about 4 to 5 kids. That way, some kids can't really hide, but if a kid's absent, if the game takes a day or 2, you can still do that. You can use any questions you want. So again, this is worksheet, not a worksheet. So you can take a worksheet and put that question up on the board. I have kids use a whiteboard to answer, and they'll answer. If they get it right, they get to remove an X from a team. Usually in games we play in class, they always get to add X's, or they get to add points. This whole point, hence the word grudge, is we get to remove X's from another team. You can also do quick little goofy things if you want to add an X to a team or get rid of an X for another team. The question I get most from a team or from other teachers is what happens when a team runs out of X's? Remember, you're in control, so you can make sure that doesn't happen. Or what I do if someone's ganging up on a group because there's a kid in there that maybe is kind of maybe not on people's bright side. When a group runs out for me, I restart their entire X's like they would restart a video game. So then kids get all shocked at the very end, but I kind of like doing that. So again, Grudge Ball, 15 X's. Whole goal is to have as many at the very end. Why is the ball in there? You can have like a basketball shot if you want, but it's way better name than just Grudge. So, yep.
All right, this next one is a points competition. So you could put the kids into groups for doing a worksheet. And then as you go over the problems, just ways to earn some points. So just a variety. One would be just to get a deck of cards. I have one of the really large deck of cards, a little bit more fun. And each group that gets the question correct comes up and picks a card. You could either do the point values based off of the card picked, or whoever gets the highest card gets 500 points, second highest is 300, and so on. The other one is a suction ball. You can get these at the dollar store a lot of times, but on my whiteboard, I'll just put different circles with either points or prizes. And you could do a couple options. Just one, if they get the question correct, they get a chance to throw the ball at the board. And if it sticks in a certain section, they get that prize. Or you could give each team like 10 seconds to see how many prizes they can get. And then the third option up here is a superhero matching or any theme that you would possibly want to do. So I just took a PowerPoint and just put numbers and then put characters behind those numbers. So if a team gets it correct, they get a chance to match up the superheroes. So just different ways to add a competition theme to a worksheet.
This next activity is Connect 4. You can have students work in groups. I have one here that you can pass out a packet with questions. It doesn't necessarily have to be a whole packet. It could be a worksheet. You could be handing them one question at a time. So obviously that's up for you to decide how you want to distribute those. But the whole point is for the students to answer the question, teachers checking in with them at the end of each one of the questions. If they get it right, then they get a specific colored sticky note, or if you have something else that you could use. I know I've cut out dots before so they literally look like, the markers from Connect 4, the checkers, and you're trying to be the first team to actually get Connect 4 in a row. And you can decide what option you want, if you want to do anything funky, as far as corners, or if you're just doing just the typical ways to Connect 4. So just a fun way, again, getting them engaged and just kind of a little competition. They love competing against each other.
All right. People search. Yeah. I love this people search game. So you give the kids a worksheet. I know, hear me out before you say no. Give the kids a worksheet, and I tell them, and I put it in quotes over here. I'm pointing to the screen, though you can't see it. The only thing you write on your own paper is your name and then your final grade. So they will start, and they will get their paper. They write their name on there, and then they go to question 1. They got to find somebody else in the class to trade papers with. So they switch. Boom. I switch with Kim, for example. We both do number 1. The reason I like this instead of being partners is because what they write on their paper is going to be my grade. So if they're doing it wrong, you have to actually teach them or at least walk them through how to get the right answer to get it on your paper. That's created really good conversations. And just like we know as teachers, peer-to-peer interactions in teaching a lot of times has more impact than we do for students who are struggling. So they do that, and then they got to find another person for number 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. And then when they're done, there'll be kind of problems written all over their paper, and then you kind of grade it out loud and they get their score. A big thing that we also like is I have the kids that do the paper. Like if Kim does my number 1, Kim would put her name next to number 1. That way I could always go back and check as the teacher to see how they're doing. So that's people search, and the only thing they write on their paper is their own name. Thanks.
All right, this next one, brown bags. This is great for task cards. So what you would do is put the different task cards around the room, and then you'll need a brown bag for each question that you've got. So if you have 15 questions around the room, you'll need 15 brown bags, and you'll number each of these bags. And you also need to cut up a bunch of white little strips of paper that students can write their answers on. You'll set up these brown bags, whether it's next to each problem or you could do it in a certain part of your room, whatever's easier for your setup. And then when the students come in, they will go around the room, answer each question. And they'll need a slip of paper for each one. So after they do question number one, they'll put their name on a little slip of paper, put their answer for question one, and then put that into the brown bag. So they'll go around the room. They could go in any order. Then at the end, you'll go over each question individually. And then after you go over question number one, you'll reach in the brown bag and draw out one of the names. And if the person got it correct, they get a prize or whatever it might be, points for a team or whatever you might decide. We have team money, so I would give out team money prizes. And so, yeah, you just go through each question and do that, the brown bag for each one.
Oh, I like this one. Scoot or sidewalk scoot. It's nice if you do it at a time of year where it is, nice outside. The students love the opportunity to get to go outside of the classroom. The goal of this is to place one question at each desk, or if you're outside, placing them in each square of the sidewalk or just spacing them out. The students will have a piece of paper that they're going to be recording their answers on. If you go outside, clipboard's obviously super helpful, or even if they're in the classroom walking around, that they can just use that as a hard surface. But the students go around, answer those questions, and they leave the question at the square on the sidewalk or at the desk, and then they are just scooting to the next question. You either can have them work on this, individually, pairs, or you could do groups. Depending on if you had maybe only 3 or 4 people, but obviously however you want. But it's just a great way to get them working on content, and they're moving around, not just stuck in one spot. So.
All right. Oh yeah, my mistake or yeah, my bad. You can call it however you want, but I don't know about you. Maybe it's just a my class thing, but kids love finding mistakes in work. Like, oh my gosh, you make one tiny typo and it is over, right? It brings them so much joy to point out Mr. Omise's mistake. So I literally took that issue that I had, maybe messing up every once in a while, and then made it into an activity. So what they do is I take the worksheet that I already have and I do the whole thing. But I make a common mistake for each student, or for each question, like a common mistake that I think kids will make. They have the problem that's wrong. They tell me the error. They can't just say it's wrong because Omise is dumb. No, they have to tell me, hey, you didn't combine like terms correctly, or you went on the x-axis instead of the y-axis. And then they have to do the problem correctly. So it kind of gives them a reference point too on how to, sorry about that, guys, on how to complete a problem, but then they find the mistake and go on from there. I've also done it too, where let's say that the sheet that I used had 12 problems. I'll tell them 2 of them are completed perfectly, or 1 of them is completed perfectly, so that they think there's not an error. They can try to find the one problem that is perfectly right, and then they complete the other ones. So that's called my mistake and yeah, my bad. So those are just like kind of 9 ways that we give you guys on how to take a worksheet and make it not into a worksheet, something fun to spice the classroom up a little bit, because we kind of know, I don't know about other classes, but sometimes we have our kids for 60 to 80 minutes and sitting there the traditional way of just doing a worksheet is not very fun. So here's all of our contact info. So for Kim, Gina, and myself, Jake, there's also the QR code and then the tiny URL code that you can use as well. Also, if you download the presentation, there's another, I think, 11 or 12 different ways to make the worksheet not a worksheet resources on there. So thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it.